Hey guys, it's Buzza here, and these are the 5 topics we're going to be talking about today. Honestly, I just love diving into this stuff. I find it really interesting, and I like to see how stuff works and how versus what people say and stuff like that, and just some ideas, maybe directions I could see certain changes going based on opinion and how much I've played and stuff like that, and just from other games I've played, implementing those kind of thought processes and stuff like that. Overall, I just like making these videos. Props to EFT for the game they've made. Here's my ideas. Let's jump into it. Here's an HK and all the meta attachments, okay? Now, it comes to negative 75% reduction. And then on top of that, you have skills. Not only one skill, 2 skills. You have the gun that does negative recoil, and then you have just recoil control that does negative recoil, which comes out to, I believe it was 24%. Now, I don't want to make this video super long, so I cut this down completely. Essentially, what I'm saying is that an HK that is in someone who's played for 5 hours is going to be totally different than someone that has played for 5,000 hours. If we just say that EFT's never wiped, someone who has all these skills maxed is going to feel totally different with an HK than someone that doesn't. And how I look at that is it should be changed so that the HK should always feel the exact same in anybody's hand regardless of time played. That's it. We're just gonna look at it that way, okay? Just to keep this short. Knock this one out real quick too. So there is on changing turning speed is just gonna change your sensitivity while moving. It doesn't affect your ADS, right? So this is just me moving around, right? Just normally. There's ADS, right? Move around, pretty easy, right? Now let's put this armor on. Now here's my turning speed. Okay, I gotta swipe a bunch of times to try and turn around, right? ADS, exactly the same. I can actually like turn easier in ADS. So one of the ways to just cancel this out is if you're gonna use one of these heavy loadouts, you come in here, let's say turn your sense up by like 0.3, we're back to normal. So essentially the changing turning speed on armor is completely pointless. I think if anything, if you look down at the bottom left, it changes your walking speed. I'm pretty sure you can sprint the same speed. Okay, that I'm not even 100% sure about, to be honest. You might be slower. I don't feel slower though. I mean, that feels the same to me, honestly. So maybe it doesn't even affect running speed. I think if like you're gonna be coming out here like a bullet sponge, you should be like half endurance, whatever it is, regardless of level, it should be like cut to half. Doesn't do anything. It just makes it a nuisance to play the game because you got to go change your sensitivity, and then maybe it's not like how you like it, and blah blah blah. It's like one extra step, or it just deters players from using it because there's already so many negatives to like this helmet. Like, yeah, it's level 6, but it's a level 4 face shield. Level 6 with how much like people think this game's never gonna wipe, so eventually everyone is gonna have 995 and maxed out bullets, maxed out guns, everything. So yeah, that's something that I think is just pointless. Now we're gonna jump into the firing styles. We're gonna be looking at burst firing, full auto, and tap firing. Actually, now I did find some interesting things in this part of the video. The 3 guns we're gonna be looking at is the short barrel S58, an HK, and an AKM. I basically picked a high recoil, medium recoil, and really low recoil. So let's just jump into these right now. So jumping in here with the AKM, we're going to be looking at the bottom. I use the bottom line as a reference for every single shot placement to begin, and then there's a fence behind me, keeps me in the same position for every gun. Okay, on the left is showing where the bullets go and how big the spread is, and we're going to compare it at the end between the 3 guns and different firing styles. So this is the AKM. If you've noticed, on every single one of these bullets, or guns, sorry, after the 6th bullet, the recoil starts to go down and it sort of evens out again. Now, for me, this is very backwards compared to how most games work. They usually go up and then they level out, and that's where all the bullets stay. They don't go up and then back down because it's very weird to control recoil that way, right? Compared to like the HK and stuff like that, it's just a dot and that's it, right? So now we're looking at a burst here, and I just keep bursting over and over, just a 3-shot burst. And the interesting thing I found for a lot of people that don't know, bursting is the worst fire style in the world. This is tap firing, and all the bullets just stay right on target. They don't move at all. Now, obviously, that varies based on click speeds, right? But if you can click fast, it's always better than bursting 100% and even full autoing. When I get into the SA58 here and I start tapping it, it's actually better than full autoing it for like accuracy and stuff like that, which I found really interesting. I will say the SA58 does jump quite a bit, but if you saw there at the end, it actually starts to just put all the shots in one spot after that. The game feels like it's basically controls the recoil for you after about the 6th shot. It just sort of settles in and just stays there from then on, right? Now, obviously, there's horizontal changes, but give or take on the way that you like recoil being done, it does give off a weird vibe to controlling it. If you've played other FPS games, right? It's like sort of backwards. And then this part of the video, we're going to jump into that. All right, now to make this quick and not get too crazy with it. So let's say after the 10th bullet, the gun hits its sweet spot. That's why I only showed the 10 dots on the screen. So at the 10th bullet, you're hitting your sweet spot. Now, if you haven't noticed, the game sort of controls the recoil for you, which in my opinion is a little weird. It goes up and then it comes back down about halfway and then sort of sits off at a leveling spot. Now, if you have a 30 rounder, your first 10 bullets are going to be getting to the sweet spot. Now, the other 20 bullets are going to stay in that sweet spot. So if you stop firing and restart, you're going to have to get 10 bullets all off of target to get back to that sweet spot. So you're better to just unload the entire mag and just mag dump, right? Now, it gets even worse is when you add a 60 rounder to that, 10 bullets, and then 50 rounds are going to stay on target. You aren't going to stop, right? You're just going to mag dump, let alone the hip fire recoil and all that. We'll get into that in a whole other video and what I think they should do with that. But on the right, we're going to now talk about the recoil of EFT versus other games and just sort of how you would control it in EFT versus, say, another game. So on the right side, we have a PKO6 with a blue dot, and the red dots are going to be bullets if you weren't controlling the recoil, and the PKO6 is controlling it if they're all hitting headshots constantly. Very simple way to show recoil, but what this shows is how EFT recoil functions, where it goes up, comes back down, and hits the sweet spot. Most games will hit a height, and then they'll level off, and that sort of keeps the sweet spot. Or like games like PUBG, sometimes the recoil just kept going, which was like crazy. But now we're just going to jump over to how the other games work. So this is how traditional FPS games work, where the recoil will go up, hit a max height, and that max height will simultaneously be the sweet spot. So you just pull your mouse down, sort of stop, and then it's controlling left and right, and a little bit of, horizontal recoil and stuff like that is when that all kicks in. So in my opinion, overall, this creates a smoother recoil controlling experience. Now, granted, most people probably didn't even realize that the recoil in EFT goes up and then back down. And most people, especially if you're FPS game experienced, are going to default just to how you control recoil in previous games. So just to note that if you are using low recoil weapons, this won't come into play because they have zero recoil. Basically, it's the same with hip fire with a laser. Now, I do think those things should be looked at too. So hopefully you guys found the video informative and enjoyed it. I'd appreciate if you did hit that subscribe button. I do play EFT on Twitch. You can follow me at BuzzaTV, all that stuff. Now we're just going to jump into closing thoughts and then the outro. And yeah, appreciate it, guys, watching. So for ending thoughts, I guess these are some points I would put down. All right, so the first point would be increase the recoil on extremely low recoil guns. They've done some work with the Val. The Val needed adjusting. I think there's a lot of guns that do need adjusting, though. If you haven't noticed, EFT will bring in new guns and then no one uses them, just except for memeing and stuff, because some guns are just so strong in this game. And then, like, the HK has good everything. Same with the M4, you have all the best stats. And then I would probably look into, if you do the above rule I have there, then balancing the mods so that if you get a 4 grip, it's maybe lowers your recoil, but also slows down your ADS speed. Vice versa, if you get one that makes you ADS faster, you also get more recoil. Realism could be because of the weight, right? A lighter piece is going to let you ADS faster, but it's also going to give you more recoil because the gun's lighter. just a way to put it, right? I'd remove the recoil scales. I talked about that. I think that's a weird way to look at recoil in a video game for weapons and stuff. Take a look at heavy armor. If we're never wiping and everyone has the best ammo, how useful really is the heavy armor? Makes you slow. You can't hear the enemies. I think Comtax is probably the most useful item in the game. But it's, how much is a Vulcan? Like 300k, right? An Alton is 150k. Comtax 24k. I'd rather take a Comtac in the end of the day, right? So I just adjust those and how useful that stuff is. And then props to BSG. Love this game. And the next video I'm going to be making is on how to make the secure containers more interesting. I got a lot for this one. Peace, boys.
Darling, I've been tempted by the darkness.